Hi, welcome to another video. So sorry it's been so long since we made a video. Shane's been working on his book. It's generally been a bit tricky trying to meet up and make videos together with COVID and everything, so we haven't really been able to make as many as we would have liked, so apologies for that. But big thank you to all the new subscribers. We just passed 7,000. Fantastic. Thank you to Matt Day for talking about our zines in his latest video and the channel. Really appreciate that. Yeah, hoping to get back on it, make a few more videos. Today I'm going to be talking about one of my favorite parts of photography, and that's scanning film. So I kind of have a bit of a love-hate relationship with film photography. I kind of buy a trendy, expensive film camera, use it for a bit, get a bit fed up with scanning, and then end up selling it. I've been doing that on and off for maybe like 5 years now. I've tried scanning with a flatbed scanner. I used to have an Epson V something or other. And I've also tried DSLR scanning with a light pad pointing down on a little scanner, pointing down a little light pad and editing it in Lightroom, etc. Both of them I found really time consuming. My results were really inconsistent. I just couldn't quite get it to look the way I wanted it. So I just kind of gave up shooting film really. It just didn't seem worth the effort. However, I've recently picked up a Plustek optic film 8200i, and so far I'm hugely impressed with it, so I thought I'd make a little video on the kind of new process. Yeah, so I'm just going to scan some film I've shot recently, scan a couple of older frames, edit them in the Silverfast software that comes bundled with it, and see how we get on. Most of the film that we're going to be scanning I shot with this beautiful Canon EOS 300, which cost me £15, and the 50mm 1.8, which I think was about 50 quid. So overall this is a kind of £65–70 setup. I love this camera. It's so lightweight, autofocus, has a flash, continuous frames if needed, auto wind on. Just, yeah, does the trick, you know, and the lens is pretty sharp as you can see when we're scanning, so yeah. Doesn't look great, so that's why it's not hugely popular and nice and cheap, but yeah, I like this camera a lot. Anyway, let's look at some scanning. So yeah, here is the Plustek. As you can see, it's pretty small. It's about the size of a shoe, a small shoe. It also came with this film holder for a strip of 6. And what else do I need? Also need one of these for getting rid of dust. You can pick these up on Amazon if you search piece of shit. I hate these things, but they're kind of a necessity, I think. What else have I got? Pink cloth for also getting rid of dust in the area. Worth noting actually, before we go on, that I'm really happy to say that we have our first sponsor on this channel. This video is actually sponsored by Dust. So thank you to Dust for sponsoring our channel and your continued support. So first thing, I'm just going to grab some negatives. See, I'm not wearing gloves, probably should be, can't really be bothered. Put them in the film holder. This is kind of fiddly, but there are fiddlier ones out there. Christ. Nailed it. Okay. We're in. There we go. So you can see it's actually pretty dusty, so I'm going to give them a little puff with this thing for the next 45 minutes or so. Okay, so I've loaded the film in this holder, as you can see. There's a frame here, which I took a couple of weeks ago with the Canon EOS 300. There was a Extinction Rebellion protest outside Buckingham Palace. People dancing with hula hoops and stuff. I got a picture of them kind of framing up a statue behind them, so I'm going to scan that. So I'd quite like to get a better high-res scan of it, because I previously scanned it with my DSLR scanning setup and I wasn't hugely happy with the colours. So we will get the Plustek in, and it's the third frame. So you can see when you place it in, it kind of clicks for each frame. So that's 1, 2, 3. And then I'm going to turn it on. And then I'm going to switch to a screen record so you can see what I'm doing. So I've opened up Silverfast. I've got the negative loaded in the Plustek. Top settings in Silverfast, I'm just going to change, I'm going to keep that at negative because it's a negative piece of 35mm film. I'm going to leave that at 48 to 24-bit. I don't really know what it means, but I'm just going to leave it as it is. Quality 300, I'll leave it at that. And then the resolution, 2400. I've tried the higher settings and I can't tell the difference, and you can see it produces a pretty massive file, and I don't really want that just for one frame, so I'm going to leave it down there. The Negafix setting are some pre-built-in settings for the color correction on the film. It's set at Kodak Portra 400, so that should be fine because that is what I used. And yeah, I'm just going to hit pre-scan and see what comes out. That's not good. Ah, there we go. Oh, there's some pretty big chunks of dirt there. Let me try and clean those off and try again. Technical issues, let's try again. Did that make any difference? Slightly. Okay. So yeah, this is a picture I took at an Extinction Rebellion kind of demonstration outside Buckingham Palace. There were people doing a kind of disco dance-off, and there are people with hula hoops. I thought it'd be maybe kind of try and fun to frame the statue in the background because there's a kind of woman with a lion. I thought there could be a kind of like a kind of maybe lion tamer vibe with a lion jumping through the hoop maybe. The colour does look a bit weird to me, so I might actually change the film settings on this and see if I can find one that looks a bit better. Let's try Portrait 800. That's slightly a bit more of a magenta cast on there. I might just see if any of these look any. Oh, that looks better to me. I might take out a bit of contrast, I can always add that back later, and then bring up the mid-tones a bit because the sky is blown, but yeah, that looks better to me. The greens of the trees seem to be a little muted and maybe a bit yellow in the skin, so see what we can do in Silverfast. What have we got here? Saturation. Oh yeah, can bump up the saturation, that looks better to me. What else can we do? Global CC. Okay, so this will correct any kind of color cast in the film, I guess, so it does look a bit magenta or yellowy to me, so I can kind of maybe tweak this maybe a bit more. Yeah, that looks nicer to me. And then we can also correct selective colors, so maybe I can, what does this do? Is that having an effect? Not really. I'm just kind of learning as I'm going with this, so thanks for sticking it out. I think that more kind of cyan on the sky looks nice. Maybe, should I take the saturation out? Did I put too much in? What else can we do in this software? I may need to take it into Lightroom afterwards to try and... It's quite limiting in Silverfast. Yeah, I'm happy with that, so I'm going to hit scan. And then get scanning on it, and then I'll just kind of tidy up the dust in Lightroom and maybe bump up the saturation a bit, and then I'll show you the kind of finished product. But overall, pretty straightforward, I think. Okay, I'm now also going to scan in a frame I took on the London Underground a couple of years ago on Portrait 800 film. So I'm going to set it to Portrait 800, reset any of the kind of color correction I did previously, and see how that comes out, because I'm just curious to see how it handles different white balance situations, because you have the tungsten lights on the London Underground. So let's see how that comes out. Oh, Looks very green to begin with. Just going to rotate it. Oh, and then flip it because it's reversed. Oh, so it does a kind of second colour correction off the back by the looks of it. Looks pretty good to me. Obviously this is incredibly dusty, so I have to fix that. But let's see, how can I... So you can see there is a very kind of greeny cyan tint to it. So maybe if I kind of put the colour correction towards the red, maybe a bit too far, or the magenta, just to balance that out a bit. Yeah, quite happy with that. What else can we do? Mid-tone. No. Contrast is fine. Bring up the saturation just a little bit. Why has this all gone black? Oh, I don't understand this thing. Why is green... Why are these... I'm just going to close that and maybe reopen it. Okay, these are now showing as colours now. Oh, so you can take out that. I don't know what. Okay. ACR. Automatic correct saturation by adaptive colour restoration. Okay. Still learning. Still learning. I still think it does look a bit green to me. Okay, so I'm just changing, adding even more magenta on the color correction. Yeah, I'm quite happy with that. So again, I'm going to hit scan, drop it into Lightroom, tidy up some of the dust, and then show you the finished product. Where's the scan button again? There it is. So here we are in Adobe Lightroom. And I've got the two pictures we just scanned. I'm going to open up the one with the statue, press develop. Yeah, like I said, pretty happy with it before. I think I'm just going to bring the highlights down just a little bit and maybe take some shadows out. Lovely. And then like I was saying previously in, what's it called? Silverfast. I didn't really think, I thought the greens were a bit muted, so I might try and go down to the HSL panel here and bring up the greens a bit. Does that do anything? Yeah, and then I might just bring the lumens down on those blues so you can see them a bit better. And then obviously loads of mess. Oh, blimey. Yeah, just lots of dust and crap here. So I'm gonna go to the spot correction tool and just kind of clean some of them out a bit. Pretty rough, just so you get the idea. And then there's all sorts of crap up here. You get the idea, but yeah, overall, pretty happy with this one. Yeah, finished product. Quite happy with that. And then the one from the tube, this one, wow. Ignore the dust, obviously. Lots to do on the dust, but let's more focus on the kind of color correction. So I think I'm going to add even more magenta because there is still a bit of a green cast to it. Just a few, yeah, that looks better to me. Gonna bring the highlights down just a touch. And then, yeah, I think that's all that needed as well, to be honest with you. Looks pretty good to me. Again, pretend it's not this dusty. I apologize, but we have to keep our channel sponsor happy. Again, shout out to Dust for all the support so far. Yeah, those two, pretty happy. Happy with this Plustek. Silverfast is weird and strange to use, but I don't mind it. Had to do a couple of quick tweaks in Lightroom, so bit of a faff, but at the same time, the detail is great. Yeah, it's a bit of a kind of clunky process, which I'm still ironing out, but again, I'm much happier with the results from the Plustek versus flatbed scanning and the whole DSLR process I was using before. Again, those two were just taken with this kind of little cheap Canon, so camera isn't hugely important. I think with film, scanning does really make the big difference. The Plustek is going for about £300 on Amazon at the moment, so it is a bit pricey, but the detail you do get is pretty far ahead what I was getting from a flatbed scanner. So yeah, any questions, give me a shout below, and thanks for watching it, and see you in the next one. Cheers. We're in.